Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today we've got a fun one for you. We are going to do one called Getting Started and how to create your own Northstar.
It's awesome.
It's going to be good. This is something we do for every client. So Sue and I are going to take you through how we do that. We had a really great listener question. You guys, thank you for sending us questions. It's so great to know what you want to hear. We feel like we've covered all the ground there is. And we're like, well, maybe we'll shut this thing down. Maybe we've said it. Maybe we've used all of our words. But sure enough, there's always a topic that we're like, yes, we should keep talking about design. So thank you to Jenny who sent in your question. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I wanted to know, you guys, what's the latest thing you bought? Or what is like a brand that you're obsessed with right now?
Mari and I went to Vegas not last week, but the week before. And we just went shopping. It was like, hey, it'd be fun to get away and just like, we didn't take the kids. It was just us. And we just went shopping. And I bought some dope Jordans.
Nice.
Which I really liked. And then I went into Lacoste. I'm obviously wearing the shirt. And I was like, man, I love Lacoste again,
Lacoste
So,
is rad.
it's just something very classic about it. And feels timeless to me. But it's also kind of like, I feel like tennis or golf wear that's like, is just kind of, I don't know, it's cool right now. At least it is to me.
Preppy.
So,
J. Crew is back.
Yeah, so I'm like, heck yeah,
totally.
And Mari bought like some awesome stuff there. So we were like so excited. And that was the first place we had went to. And we got there that night and we were like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
So
there's
fun.
something kind of cheeky about it too.
Mhm.
Like the alligator. That just like, I
Totally.
feel you're just like, is that vintage or is it like brand new? Like,
Exactly.
there's a cool kid factor, I think, on it. So.
Totally.
Yeah, so cool. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember whose it was, but they were talking about getting dressed. And it's not like saying, this is what I'm wearing, but it's like saying, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we get dressed every day and we come in, that we're saying, this is who I am. And we get to choose that, which is really, really fun.
Day to day even.
Like we were born and we didn't get to choose our eye color and so many other things about ourselves, but we get to choose every day, like what we get to wear and show up, as that person, say, this is who I am. So I think it's really fun to sort of find your brand or your groove that really resonates with who you are, and you can just show up as this complete package, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Sue, what are you obsessed with, or brands you're obsessed with?
I think you know this about me, but because we went to, I think my style is stuff that like you can't identify where it's from. That's what I want. I think it's in my home. It's in, like, speaking of Northstar, just like figuring out what your style is.
Yeah.
That's why I think vintage is really fun just because I'm lucky I have like a really short frame to be able to like wear vintage. A lot of them are just like shorter frames. Totally. We've gone vintage shopping.
Yeah.
You're very tall. You're a leggy blonde. So
yes, the pants would all be high waters on me.
But
And Sue goes in and she comes out like they were made for her or like she pulled them out of her mom's closet who she's built exactly like or something. But you're like, how does everything fit your body exactly right?
Anyway,
vintage is Suzanne's
my game.
calling card.
Anyway,
yes.
But even like I bought these like cute little like from Anthropologie, these patent black Mary Janes, but they feel vintage, and they're just like something again, just kind of cheeky about it. I like patent.
Totally.
Also.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's been my most recent purchase. But the thing that I'm like trying to like decide if I want to get is for emergency remodel.
Okay.
And it's the Cuban dancers.
The Cuban dancers, what are those?
Okay. It is from Zoe Bios.
Oh, yes.
And it's this picture of these like little kid Cuban dancers, and they have like such an energy. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be and I have a piece of art in there already.
Yeah.
But I just keep coming back. It just like haunts me. I'm like, I think my kids need to like see the Cuban dancers when they wake up. I don't know if Mr. Hatch is it anymore. I'm like, do they need the energy of just like some kids are, possibly less fortunate, but you would not know because they're so damn happy dancing.
Yes.
And I think that it. Anyway, I might be switching that, but it's just one of those things where you're like, I have this thing. Do I spend money on another thing? Because it's like there's no need for more art in my house right now.
Yes.
Absolutely none.
Suze's Soul Guide, though, has this homing device for artwork, and she has these special feelings about art and the way our art should be in the room, what piece it is, what the feeling it is, what it's giving back. And so she's got a real honing device for art.
You
she has
really
an antenna for it.
The Cuban dancers, I'm just like, every time I go in there, I'm just like, you're the right thing. You're the right thing. So I've priced it out. Anyway, I just think it might need to be a must-have.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think my kids would remember it. And I'm like, that'd be dope if they remember these Cuban dancers.
They will. For sure they will. We all remember the art.
Go to Cuba. We'll dance like the Cubans do.
So amazing. Yeah, I love that.
So,
that's so good.
What about you? Favorite brand? What's your most recent purchase?
What am I obsessed with?
Or what do you want to buy?
Ooh, gosh, you guys, why wasn't I more prepared? Well, something that we're looking at right now is I feel like as an empty nester, as I expressed, that I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I need a project. I need something that can throw all my mothering heart behind and just like really take up more of my energy. And I keep finding myself talking to other people, like, what does empty nesting look like to you? You know, and I talked to a friend's mother, and she's probably 80, I'm guessing. And I was letting her know, like, oh, I'm just feeling a little emotional this week. My youngest just went to college, and she was like, oh, you know what empty nesting is to me? And I said, please tell me, Mary. And she said, well, I was downstairs doing the laundry. I just sent my last one off to school. I had loaded everything in, and then I was like, well, I can take off everything I have on and put it in, and I'll literally have no dirty clothes, which felt really good in her mind. So she said, I took off everything, loaded it in there, and walked up the stairs naked.
Okay.
And she said,
it's great.
That's what empty nesting means to me. And I, being the visual person I am, saw her naked in my mind and was like, oh my gosh, I can't.
She listened to the podcast? I think everyone is.
No, she's not listening, which is why I'm telling this story. And I was like, Mary walked up your stairs. There's probably some big window in the stairwell just for all to see her empty nesting on display. And I thought, I need a different way to empty nest because that one doesn't quite strike my fancy. But I love... Now, when I think about Mary, I think about her walking around her house naked.
And I respect her efficiencies for trying to get all the dirty laundry done.
Yes.
Cheers to Mary.
Yes. So, speaking of bodies, I was thinking I should throw myself into, me and Adam, into like some great fitness sort of regimen just so that we can get really healthy, because I know the older we get, like just the more we break down. And so what are the things that are important that we're doing? Let's make sure we're eating well. Let's make sure we're moving our bodies. And what's the best way to do that? I think I need an accountability coach. So usually if I pay to join a gym, I'm going to go because I'm paying for the workouts, like Orange Theory or something like that, right? I love Pilates. So I was like, I'll just rejoin Pilates and go. But I thought it'll be so much more fun if Adam and I do something together. So we've been looking at different equipment. I have a brother with the tonal. I've got a brother with the Peloton videos that you can do any workout. And then my sister has a Lululemon mirror. So I've been taking polls and figuring out what they like about their different things to be able to work from home. Yeah. But my key thing is, it feels like the tonal is coming up the winner, but the tonal is only the workout equipment for one person to do it alone. I really want to do it together. Two tonals. The only thing better than one tonal. So anyway, if anybody has any advice for me, please send it in, because we're trying to.
Or if you're tonal, figure out something for two people can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of?
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah. I was thinking of one of my favorite TV shows ever is How I Met Your Mother. And there's an episode where the main character has a roommate who was like his ex-girlfriend, but they're really good friends, and she ends up moving out, and so he like doesn't know what to do with her room. So he like the whole episode is him going through all these like random hobbies. So I just picture like you and Adam doing that. Like he makes clay pots, so he gets one of those like little spinner things, and then he starts smoking meat in there, and like it's hilarious. But I was like, you guys have to do some some hobbies together. And
so crazy. I found myself asking my neighbor across the street. We were going on a walk with our dog, and Adam was like, this is us. These are the Bennetts. This is the whole family. This is all there is now. And I'm like waving. And I was like, do you guys have, just give me your worst. Like, I will take your kids. Who do you not like over there? I just don't feel like I'm old enough to not have like this other energy in my life, you know? Yeah. And so he was like laughing. He's like, okay, I'll send my least favorite over. I was like, that's perfect. I'm so excited. So hopefully.
With Manolo.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That'll be so much fun.
I know.
And
we
Demi.
have so
we'll bring
much
Demi. Yeah, Demi and Manolo can
mouth.
just tornado around.
That would be great. My plan was always to build this compound with my brothers because they kind of live nearish, like within a half hour in each direction. And so I'm like, why don't we just get land and all of us build a lovely home and we can be neighbors and your kids could come over to Aunt Jessie's and think of the fun.
Spoil.
And I'll go to all their things and then I won't be
Rice Krispie treats every Friday.
I won't have an empty tank of kids, you know? So anyway, I don't know if it's going to happen. So I'm just going to have to start taking my neighbors' worst kids
There you go.
off their
We
hands.
have a Google Doc. We can all sign up.
I'm excited.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exact
Time slots.
Yeah, that's what I'm obsessed with. Other people's kids. Yeah.
See you later, Jane.
Yeah,
See you later.
definitely. Okay, I'm going to read the question from Jenny. She wrote in and said, "Hi, dear Alice team. I wanted to start by saying I love the podcast. I'm renovating a historic home built in 1970 in 1790 in Hudson Valley, New York. You guys,
That's crazy.
what a treat.
Yeah.
I want to see this." She said, "And I'm so glad I found you when I did. Right now I'm in the middle of a major kitchen and powder bath remodel, moving walls, placing windows, the whole deal. How do you avoid decision fatigue in these huge projects? I don't want to make mistakes or regret choices. I found working from Pinterest and Pinterest mood boards, and that's been helping. But when you're making countless decisions over the course of many months, how do you not get burnout?" Thank you, Jenny.
Great question, Jenny.
I feel like that's what building a house is. Like you need to just make a million decisions.
That's what we always say. We're like, we're getting started in a project and we're looking at the people across the table that want to hire us and we think, do we want to make a million decisions together? Because that's basically what we're going to do.
It is.
And the little the decisions have multiple decisions within each one. Because when you look at a kitchen, it's not a decision. It's, you know,
A myriad of them.
90, probably 197
someday.
decisions in one kitchen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the burnout thing, especially when you're doing your own house, Jenny, it's so hard to do your own. You hear
Identity
Sue
crisis.
talk about her emergency remodel and making her own mistakes, but it really does help to have somebody else that you really trust, that you can have your phone a friend option if you're not using a designer, so that you can bounce these things off them and they'll be like, "Jenny, hello, you've always worn green. Of course you love green. Of course that's the right thing for your powder bath. Jenny, of course it's this." They're like, "Thank you for knowing me." I mean, Stu and I have this sort of dialogue all the time where we're like,
Who am I?
"Remind me who I'm having a," and she's like, "Duh, of course you're this." I'm like, "Really? Okay, that's what I thought."
Yeah.
So I do think that having a person in your corner, and then you can keep building on these decisions because they're already aware of them as you go, and you don't have to spend as long explaining how you got to where you got and now why you're at the fork in the road. So I think that's super helpful. And then, of course, the Northstar, which Jenny, you kind of hinted at, which you said you've got some of these mood boards on your Pinterest, which is super, super helpful.
Yeah.
And then we like to do this at the beginning of every project, which we call a Northstar. And should we take it from there?
Yeah, this is, and we kind of coined this term like years ago, and it was just like, we need to get on the same like page as our client, right? Like I need to know what's in their mind and what they're feeling. What are the words that are coming to their head? Because even like vernacular, even words are hard to describe what, Jenny, like what you want this home to be like, but images are everything. Images are absolutely everything when you're trying to like convey ideas to yourself, to your spouse, whoever's living in the house, to your builder. You need images to like feel the energy of the house. So the Northstar is, we typically start like this. Jenny, we would meet with you and you'd say, "This is my Pinterest board. This is what I've gathered so far. This is what I'm feeling." And I would say if you're starting new, like start new. Start a new Pinterest board and file it room by room and start throwing images in each of those spaces.
Within your Pinterest folder, that's your main folder is called 1790 Hudson Valley Dream House. And then within that, you're going to have a folder for every single room in the house, powder bath, kitchen,
that's a great pro tip.
hallway, entry, you know, that you have folders. And that way you can really file all this
Timmy's
information.
room, your daughter's room, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so you can even go through Pinterest with anybody else and invite your family or whoever you want to contribute to this Pinterest board. Invite them so you can all be collaborating and be like, "Ooh, I like that. I've never seen something like that. That's fantastic." And then you start to build this like idea tank, right? All these really great images. And then you just start to see like, what are your common denominators? Like for us, like when we start to see people's Pinterest board, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, she's consistent. She wants a metal hood. She likes marble a great deal. But she has some that are really veiny, and then she has some that are like all white. Like we need to figure out like when and where she wants to use something like this, because she may hate. Oh, and make notes on it, guys. Like while you're in the mood of it, like make notes. If you like one thing about the photo, say you like the hood, but you do not like the dark veining, write that on that. Love the hood. Only focus on the hood. And that way you can start to kind of crop these things out and create what is this North Star and this feeling for this home. I would say another folder to make in your Pinterest board is lifestyle. I think like for us, we take a lot of notes from like how people are dressing, how casual they are, how formal they are. We ask them, what are your favorite brands? Like, where do you shop? Like, what are you obsessed with right now? What have you consistently been obsessed with? What colors do you wear? And then we start to gather lifestyle. And when I mean lifestyle, I'm talking about mood. You know, it's a hand with a Cartier bracelet, grabbing a cup of coffee, you know, like rituals that you have in your life that are important for this house, for this kitchen. Mm-hmm. Think about like, what are the moments I want to create? What does that feel like? Pull images that feel like that, mm-hmm. which I think are the most inspiring. I love lifestyling a project because that's when you really feel the ooey gooey of it. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's high energy with like electric lights, or if it's really soft, right? Mm-hmm. So once you start to pull those lifestyles, you'll get a feeling. And once you start to kind of like narrow down all these images in your folders, you'll see it take shape, and you'll be like, this is me. Mm-hmm. This is me in a house. Mm-hmm. And then it's so important, especially at the beginning of it when you're excited. Try not to do this like too much. You can a little bit during it, but you might get like distracted and be like, oh, maybe I do want a bright pink bathroom, you know, or something. And then like you've thrown it off course. Go back to your North Star. And it's okay to be like re-inspired by things, but just make sure it like gets along core value with what you've pulled originally, mm-hmm. right? And so, yeah, that's kind of a North Star.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
very much.
Yes.
Yeah. So besides
that, that's it.
Obviously, if you're doing these projects, you've got to be a good decision maker. Yeah. And like we were saying, you're going to make a million decisions on this project.
And it's like you're playing chess, like with each one. You have to think like moves ahead. Like this needs to coincide with this, or you know what I mean? Like this is how I'm going to use it in the future. Yeah. So it needs to be able to function this way.
Totally.
And, yeah.
Down to even like in your bathroom. Like again, I'm bathroom remodel like mode. So I'm just like, okay, for this one, I need to like make sure I have the hardware. How wide is my hardware? What is the finish of that hardware? How does that get along with my faucets? How does that faucet get along with the trash can and with the shower curtain rod and with the rings? Because I'm just going to do a curtain for the boys so they don't have to like mess with glass. Okay, what finishes that? What finishes here? There's so many little decisions and like that's in a small space. And then you multiply it by like a kitchen or just all these different things. Yeah. And there's so many things that like touch each other. Mm-hmm. And I will say it is nice to kind of like front load it and make all those decisions at once. Mm-hmm. But then if there's something you're reluctant and you want to see everything installed, hold. I would hold, you know, on some things.
You got to know when to hold them.
You got to know when to hold them because
I also think a pro tip.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned this on an Instagram live the other day, is that you use a little program, a little app on your phone called Diptych.
Yeah.
And it allows you to put everything that's happened so far in your bathroom, like when you took a picture of the tile, when you took a picture of the art that's going in the space, you have a picture of the wood sample and you mash it up into this little program. And Diptych allows you to make a collage. Yeah. So you can, in the moment when you're going to buy your hardware, you can pull up that little collage. You can also open your Pinterest board, but they might not all be quite connecting, and you might have to spend more time scrolling to really remember like the vision of the bath, where Diptych, you can see it all in one snap, or you can text that to the store that you're coming into and being like, this is what I'm going for. Do you have a little whatever? Mm-hmm. So I think as many visuals as you can bring with you, it's like taking the feeling with you of the bathroom, and it helps you communicate better because your language is different than the professional's language because they know the vernacular of design, which is a foreign language in itself. So they're over here speaking, Greek, and you're bringing your project and you're calling it one thing, but the term is different. And so if you have images, that's going to help communicate for you. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. And what do you'll get there faster with images on you. And it will also refresh your mind and take you back to all the decisions you've made. And that in itself oftentimes makes you feel more confident in making another decision because you can see how far you've got. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Really. There's like a reason why you're like, people tell you when you're having a baby that you're 70% of face and you're this much dilated, and they just keep telling you your progress because you're going through something really hard. You know, I don't know if that's a bad analogy, but I just feel like we need to see the progress and celebrate it. And it also gives you the energy back for like, yes, I'm so excited about this space. Otherwise, if you go in without visuals and you're trying to describe it in your imperfect way, they can't picture it. They're picturing their version of whatever that looks like. And
you're not confident in your own because you're like, am I remembering that? You know, that finish correctly, or, you know, like,
it's hard to
second
communicate.
guessing yourself.
Also make a, like, even as you're taking progress pictures, like when you pick out your tile, take a picture of it at the place. When you're here, take a picture of that. When you're like, just the way the transitions are happening in the kitchen, take a picture of those. I can't tell you how many times I reference those, and make a file of it like in your phone. So you have everything in one place. You can pull up, and again, you can kind of like see your progress and be like, oh gosh, remember when it looked like that? That was rough, you know, but it's super duper helpful. To just like have that like ready to go, because there's nothing more frustrating where you're just like, oh, it's really good. I just made this collage and I want to show my friend and get her opinion, and I can't find it.
I think the other benefit of that too is I'm like thinking about the process of building a home, is that it's inevitable. Things are just going to happen. Like, that's out of stock, you know, or
like
it's
your toilet.
I mean, and so you're going to need something to reference in the moment, because they're like, we need to know right now or by the end of day what your decision is, because you know, you're either 10 weeks out or whatever. So having that just like handy, you know, I think is key.
It is key.
For sure.
100% is key. One other thing that we've, I think, been doing lately, it kind of came about with a client that we've done several homes with, a dear friend, and we've seen her in different phases of her life as she's worked on different homes, one with like really little kids, one with like, you know, she's going through IVF, she has twins now, she, you know, just all these different things. And she's really eclectic, really fun. But this most current house that we're working on is kind of the ever after house. And the word, and she has just these amazing kids, and it's complicated and it's busy. She has one with special needs that's going to be with her probably, you know, for the rest of her life. And the word that like, she's like, I just want it to be easier, you know? And so the word that we've kind of like stapled to the house is ease. So as we're selecting, Jenny, as we're selecting everything in this house, that's the adjective in my head. I'm just like, does it feel easy? Does it like visually, does it look soothing and not complicated? Is it easy to clean? Is it easy to use? Like, is it gonna like cause more chaos and stress for her by making this choice? For one example, we had this like casita that will likely be, you know, Gracie's house, you know, as she gets older, this little ADU off the property, near the pool. And, ideally,
ADU is an additional dwelling unit.
Yes.
So
California loves to use ADU. Most people don't use
and
ADU.
we sometimes call them outbuildings, where there's a second building on the property. So this pool house is a second building. Sorry, carry on.
No. So the way it goes, like you're in California, so of course you have these doors that kind of open up to the patios and decks. And so we have this scenario, and we have this beautiful limestone, you know, this like paver that's kind of was originally planned. Like we were like, oh, that'd be so beautiful to take it from the outside into the interior, like stunning, right? And as like I was thinking about it the other day, I'm like, oh, Gracie's in a wheelchair. You know, if something were to happen, or she's like rolling around on a textured stone and she falls, that's gonna hurt, you know. Just even that, like the word ease, it comes into play, and it's so like I'm just quick into it that I'm just like, it should be wood, or it should be like something that's gonna be a softer for like her joints, her like if there is a fall, if like someone needs to carry her, that she, you know, isn't being dragged on stone that's rough, that should be left for the exterior for non-slipping. And then we should like do something. But even like just thinking about how you're going to live, how your body's going to interact with like different finishes in the home, it's so important to just like really walk through the space and walk through how you want it to feel on your body. Because that will impact your decision. Like that's part of the Northstar.
That word is like a real true north, a guiding light for you guys, and it makes you more keyed up and more sensitive, I think, to the real agenda, you know, for this mother as you know, her kids grow up within the home, and the special needs become more, you know, more heightened. Yeah. So I think that's really lovely. I love the idea of creating a word for your home. And your life experience can dictate, what that looks like. There's some people where there's a part and a time and a season where they want their homes to be impressive because they're going to be entertaining a lot. And that's important to them, and their decisions should be impressive to align with that. Others where you want a sense of, I keep hearing people, empty nesters, because that's where we're at, where they're downsizing, right? They don't want to have to. I remember my neighbor moved out like a year and a half ago or so, and she was like, I have to clean 7 bathrooms. I've got this many bedrooms. And it's me. And why am I cleaning this huge house? It's like such a burden to me when I want to go take up a hobby, or I want to travel to go see my kids and my grandkids, and I'm beholden to this property and
all my bathrooms
and this yard. And you know what I mean? It just takes a lot of time and energy, and your kids aren't there to fill the bathrooms and the rooms and help you clean the house. And so you do start to see people want different things for different stages of life. And I think coming up with a word for your stage can help be a real guiding light as you make those decisions.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one word. It could be several words. We did a Northstar for a client in California yesterday, and we put all these words in front of him. He's just like, that one's not important. But this is, okay, did we think about, what was the word? He wanted it to be, I'm like, eclectic? He's just like, yes, I want it to be one of a kind. I want things in there, but I don't want all of it to feel one of a kind. I just want one thing to feel one of a kind. I don't want to look like a First Dibs showroom, but I want one thing from First Dibs in there. So it feels, and I'm like, do you want to travel? He's like, yes. I'm like, global? He's like, yes. And I'm like, global eclectic. That's my jam.
Nice.
Global eclectic.
You're in the right place.
Yeah. So just start and then we went through authentic, quality, functional, sustainable. He's like, no, not sustainable, but organic. And so there's so many different description words. And I think when you start to pull your lifestyle, you'll be like, what do these things have in common? It's really textural, or it's very dimensional, or it's, I think you'll start to finish your sentence with visuals. Yeah. 100. And that's Northstarring it.
Yeah, for sure. That's really good. I love that. We have down here, what are your favorite brands? I think when you're trying to learn a new communication with a new client, or if you're just doing it for yourself, looking at your other purchasing decisions helps tell you other decisions you've made, and if you like them still or not. And you might be like, no matter what, every time I go here, I feel most myself. I love this brand. This is me, right? So going to that, I think, can be really clarifying, especially when you're in a rut of making decisions. Yep. Right?
Yeah. And I think in your lifestyle folder, put images of some of that branding in there.
Yes.
Of Chanel, if that's your jam, or of your husband's favorite shoe brand, or something that's, if you feel a little bit more street, throw some of that funk in there so you don't not include that in your home.
You don't lose yourself.
You don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
And so, don't be, I will say this too, don't be embarrassed of anything. And what I mean by don't care, make the board private if you don't want anyone to see it. When I do that, usually from my own stuff anyway.
Yeah.
You don't want anyone stealing your ideas. I'm just kidding. I'm actually not private at all. But don't worry. I think this is in your home. It's to help it feel like you, to really express your individuality. It's such a shame when you just are pinning what everyone else is pinning, because then it's going to look like everyone else's pin. So kind of go outside yourself and start asking people you really admire, or go to your favorite shop and be like, who do you follow? I want to follow them because I think that's going to switch up my algorithm. I'm going to start to see images that will light my fire. I think that's something too, pin stuff you haven't seen before, but that you resonate with, that still have something true and authentic, but that gets you excited. I think you'll make more, exciting decisions that will push you and make you a little nervous. I think it pays off. It really, really does. Than just regurgitating the same old every time. In fact, and I thought that this client was just really streamlined based off his company. We did almost too much research in his company, and it's very disciplined. It's very edited. And we took that a little too seriously based off of his business, because he was actually a lot more colorful and a lot more, he wanted to shake it up and do something different than probably what he works on every day.
Yeah.
Right. And
totally.
And I mean, we see this just even with the store and with our own personal decisions. We're going to do something probably a little funkier for our own versus putting something on the retail floor that most people will like. Know that there's a lot more out there, and like give yourself the credit to do that research and find that one of a kind thing, because that's what's going to put yourself apart.
Yeah, that's
and
really
get you
great.
excited.
It's kind of the opposite of that episode we did on HGTV and how these people, do their homes, the white box homes with the black windows. And in the end of the day, they're like, it doesn't feel like me. And so I think this is a perfect anecdote to being able to inject what it is that will really make this home resonate with you, feel like you, and give you the permission to push it to that point. Yeah. Somehow pinning those images in the board will keep you true to yourself and where you want to go. Which is exciting.
What if this client said, I love it. This is great. We would have ran with it, and like he essentially said, he's just like, that feels too much like montage. It's too uniform, too monochrome. It's beautiful, but it's not me. And I'm just like, thank you for speaking up. Yeah. I would never know that, based off of some of the other things I've seen from you. So like, I'm so glad that he spoke up. Speak up, to your person. Yeah. Even like, the other people, if it's just you and your husband, wife, that's like designing this house, make sure that y'all are on the same page, so that you don't hold resentment after this thing is built and be like, I actually hate that color. Now I'm surrounded it for the next 20 years.
I kind of like the idea of somebody outside of your relationship helping you remind you who you are, because when I'm working, and I don't know, you just barely did this with your wife. You just built a house 2 years ago. But when I'm working with my husband, I'm too wrapped up in what I know he's going to want and trying to show him that, and then he's going to play it safe, and then I'm not going to dare push it. That I almost am more like, trust me, I know you like, I'm going to take it to its fullest extent with a vision with my friend here, and we're going to get it there, and then you're just going to bless it. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like sometimes with the spouse, one of them usually plays it kind of safe. I feel like, or maybe it's just with me and Adam. That's probably not true for either of you guys. Tom's not going to play it safe, and you and Mari, did a pink master or primary bath and a green kitchen. So
I feel like we both trust each other a lot.
That's so helpful.
We're like, hey, if you're into it, I want to see it through.
I trust
you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also we're like very in tune with like checking our gut feeling.
Yes.
And that's why
I love that.
That's why I think it's important to just go through a ton of options. Especially if you're like second guessing yourself. If I had like 10 things out in front of me, no matter what it is, say it's a candy bar, I would look at them and be like, this is what I'm feeling right now. You know what I mean? Like just checking your gut. And I think the more you do that, it's a muscle and you get used to it. And so you're like able to like, oh, that one excites me.
That's cool.
That's the thing. That's it, Yep. And so I think that's like another huge thing is just don't just say yes to something because it's like right in front of you. It's quick and it's easy. Like go until you find the thing like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's totally it, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Definitely.
I love that.
Okay. What are you drawn to? I guess that's kind of a little bit of the gut too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And then what's truly and authentically you? And that's where I feel like we know that also with our gut. There's a part of us too, though, that's for me anyway, I get sick of myself. And so sometimes like I want a new me, like I'm like you and I like change and I want to take this in a different direction. So there is that we've spent this much time on the earth. So we authentically know who we are in the different phases of our changes. And so we know if we'd be accepting of, this new thing, but I still really love the idea of saying to your person, like I always will say to Sue, what's totally me, What do you think? I'm in the mood for a change, so I want something different. So it can't be like so in the pocket, but what do you think where should I, like, do I dare go this far with it, So I do really go back to having a sounding board if you're not using a designer. Yeah.
And someone that you really trust.
Yeah.
That obviously knows you.
Yeah,
like
that
really
knows
well.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Also, Jenny, if you need to, just take a day off. Take a weekend off. Completely clear your mind. There's something about how, like, when you take a shower, you get ideas. When you're not doing cramming for the homework, you're like, I just got to take a beat. Or take a weekend off, come back to it when you're fresh. Make your decisions then. I think you can always take a minute off, from doing that. But I don't know, having a sounding board and sometimes helps get you out of the burnout. You just sometimes need to talk it out. It's like counseling, right?
It is like counseling.
Design counseling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So don't be ashamed if you need to take a break in that too. But hopefully this helps clarify and help get you the visuals and the gut feelings and get you primed to keep going with this 1790s Hudson Valley vintage historic home.
I'm so excited for you.
I am too.
For real. I want to see pictures of this.
Yeah, please send them over.
Yes.
I'd love to see this Also, you have history to lean on, which is really cool. Like for a Northstar, like you have like that whole shell that's historic, and then you just get to add this like really cool top layer, make it a fit like work and functional and everything. But you do have, I imagine, some existing things that you do want to stay true to. So that's part of your Northstar too, is pull things from that era, pull things that you're just like, I do still love this.
Yes.
I think this would be authentically true to keep this story in line. But then we're going to throw this art in, or my pendant's going to be this like crazy wild modern sculpture or whatever it is, you know, like figure out where you're going to zig from like history. And yeah, I'm excited for you, Jenny.
I'm excited too. Thank you for the question. If you guys have questions for us, please send them to dearalice@alicelanehome.com. We would love to answer them here. Sometimes they're a whole podcast. Sometimes they're part of our 20 questions. But in any way, it's fun to know what you guys want to know and helps us keep these podcasts interesting for you. One quick thing is at Alice Lane Home, we have something called Home Furnishings Design, where we offer free design services for any of you that aren't necessarily building or remodeling, but you're just wanting to furnish your home. And it's an awesome service. We've got over 200 vendors available to us, and you can tell our people about your style, what you're really wanting, and they can pull a look for you together, and you can spend your entire budget on furniture. You don't have to buy design hours. They just fully use the Alice Lane Rolodex on your behalf and put together beautiful rooms. So if you want to get started on that, it's called Home Furnishings Design, and go to our website and you can search for Home Furnishings Design, fill out the form, and then they'll give you a call to get started. Thanks again so much for listening, you guys. We will catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.